Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to the channel. We're taking a little break from Junk Journal January, and I'm doing kind of a flip through of my reading journal from 2023, so beginning to end. So I had actually I had a notebook, right? It was a brown notebook. I got it from Etsy, and it has like really thin pages. So halfway through the year, when I was layering and collaging and stuff, it got really fat and the binding started to break. So I actually just like divided it in half. But I was keeping it in like a clear cover. So what I did is I took the two halves and then I sewed them back into a cover, which is what you saw in the beginning. I had like the wildflowers of Australia or something, so I really liked the front of it, so I just kind of sewed the signatures back in. So these were some of my beginning pages from the beginning of the year, and you saw how like I didn't really keep up with any of the yearly spreads, but these are my stats for like comparing 2022 and 2023, how many books I read, pages, my favorite authors. This was my Goodreads goal. I always just do 100, but I always go over. The first half of my reading journal was Harry Potter themed. So sometimes I had little challenges or maybe next, because I don't believe in TBR because I'm a mood reader, so I just don't do that. Because I can put a whole list of stuff and then never read it because I'm not in the mood for it. So I can't do that. So I usually divide it by months. You can see in the beginning of the year, I was like drawing a lot more, and you'll see as the year progresses, I draw less and less because I just run out of creative gas. Oh, this was my 2023 Blackathon. So usually when I do stuff in my reading journal, I only highlight like my favorite books, and I make a little spread, a collage or something, and then I write whatever my feelings. In 2024, I'm going to do like the exact opposite. I'm going to record every single book I read, just my thoughts on it, just so I can have, and I'm going to date them. So not date them, but like here's book number 1, book number 2, and try to like write them in order. We'll see how that goes. I saw it on another channel, and I just really like the way it looks. And the thing, I might not have like a full page for a spread. I might just do little boxes and then still have like a full page spread for my favorites. So yeah, usually I like to do like readathons and things like that. So this is just me doing like a final flip through just to, if you guys want some inspiration for how to do your journals or just see how I do it. I am a maximalist. I like really busy. And I just like the way it looks when there's a whole bunch of stuff on the page. I like making the spread look like what the book was about. Oh, June is probably one of my favorite months because I ship Sirius Black and Remus Lupin together. So, but yeah, so I know that I already did like a flip through of the first half when I was like migrating into my second half of the year, but I thought, I'll just go from the beginning in case, you guys missed that one, so you don't have to go back and forth. But I'm changing a lot of things up for my reading journal in 2024. I'm getting rid of star ratings because I think they're stupid. Okay, so this is the second half. So I tried to continue like my reading goal. I didn't manage to get my ABC. I didn't have Q, V, X, or Z. And a lot of like those beginning pages that a lot of people use, I just didn't use it. So the ABC challenge, I didn't really keep up with it too much. My Around the World challenge totally failed because I realized that I needed to do a lot more research into whatever country. So that didn't work out. Anticipated releases, I didn't keep up with it. I did add like a here's the top 10 of the year, so you can see my top 10 books, because a lot of people do like a book bracket and then they like compete and all that stuff. I'm like, but you know, there's if a book is like different genres, you know, it's hard to compare like an epic fantasy to like a romance. So I just can't really think, oh, here's like the number one. Just pick one, because like this book, You're in the Dream House, that was a 5-star read. It wasn't one of my favorites of the year, but like I can't really like just put books up against each other if they're not in the same category or if they don't have the same themes. I rate nonfiction different than I do fiction. So, and I keep my kind of my romance novels, my smutty romance novels, they're in a completely different category, and I rate them different than regular literary fiction. So, and that's all in my head and none of it matters. But I'd rather do like, here are my top 10 books that like I couldn't stop thinking about throughout the year, because I read so much, so I'd rather think, okay, here are my top 10 books that like made me cry, that stayed with me throughout the year. That's kind of how I did that. And I didn't really carry a lot of yearly spreads into 2024. I'm going to do like my wrap-ups different. Like you see how I have like the book title and the rating, and it's just kind of in a list. I'm going to change that up, make it more kind of free form. And because every book is going to be recorded like in a 1, 2, 3, I'm not really going to have to do that, because you'll be able to see by month like how many books I read, and then I'll just have like a stats page, like here's how many books I read, how many pages, the genre, and whatever, if I'm doing any challenges that month. So I won't have to do it like in a list format like that. But yeah, so it's, when you're doing reading journals, you can look at what other people do, but you never know what's going to work for you until you're doing it. So my upcoming reading wrap-ups for 2024 are going to look a little different. So that'll be fun. I definitely wasn't surprised by like what I read the most this year. I read lots of LGBT books. I read a lot of romance and fantasy. I have been reading a lot more horror lately, so that's cool. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to show you guys kind of how all the spreads ended up. If you hadn't noticed, the second half of the year was, what's it called? Miyazaki movies. So, and I was like, I read one more indigenous book in November, so I ran and got a pen and added it. Just to show you, sometimes you're never done. But I am very like much into like the collaging part of it. I don't think I'm going to keep that up in 2024, like with every single book, since I'm going to be like basically writing down over 100 books and my thoughts on every single book I read, because basically I was going back through like what I read in the year, like when I was looking at my Goodreads, and I was like, I don't even remember that book. And because I read so much, I feel like if I have it all written down, like at least just a sentence or a couple of sentences per book, it would help me like jog my memory at the end of the year, since I read so many. So I just want to record my reading a little bit more. So yeah, this is kind of like how I want to do like my review of the month. Here are my favorites. Here are my top genres. These were my last favorites of the year, which were Chain Gang All-Stars, which is a book about, people in prison basically competing in like gladiator games, but they're like on a reality TV show, but like they're killing each other. It's kind of like the Hunger Games and meets Gladiator. I don't know. And then the last one was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which took me like 4 times to read because I just was never in the mood and I always just kept stopping. But I finally pushed through it and ended up really liking it. But I just wanted to go back to, here's my top 10. I love how I didn't really read any of my before 2024, but that's okay. But yeah, these are my top 10 books, and that was my reading journal for 2023. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some inspiration. Look at how chunky she is. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.